Big round of applause for Marcus Abbott from Bentley Motors.
Thanks very much. I feel like I'm going to be standing in the pro-automotive corner by myself tonight, but what I'm here to do is try, hopefully, to inspire some of you to be interested in the British automotive industry, which I feel very passionately about. So let's go. What inspires us at Bentley Motors today? Well, W.O. Bentley, our founder in the 1920s, said his vision for Bentley was a good car, a fast car, the best in its class. And that is just as important to us today as it was some 70 years ago. So that's a very inspirational phrase which we look at today and always reference. And this is W.O. Bentley, and I think probably I'll be one of the only people to put up a picture which is more than 50 years old tonight, maybe. But anyway, he was a great engineer, but not a great innovator. What his particular skill was taking the best that was available at the time and putting it together in a unique and compelling package, which is a skill which is really difficult to do, I think. And he inspired a group of guys in the 20s who became known as the Bentley Boys, who were sort of patrons of the brand, to take the cars to Le Mans in France and win there 5 times in the 1920s, which was perhaps one of the most grueling automotive tests of its time and is still today. And throughout that time, and even at the beginnings of the company, we were about creating a relationship with our customers which was more than just the sort of utility of getting from A to B. It was a more personal, emotional relationship with our customer. And that's something which today we very much try to emphasize and build upon. And this is one of, I guess, one of the iconic designs from the company during the many years. This is the R-Type Continental, 1952, wearing a Mulliner body, which in itself was very inspirational to our current range of Continental cars. And you can see it's quite a beautiful design, I think one of my favourites. And indeed, W.O.'s vision inspired today's Bentley Boys. We went back to Le Mans in 2000, a few years after we were bought by Volkswagen. And then in 2003, we managed to win outright, coming first and second, indeed, in that year. So today's Bentley Boys carry on the vision of W.O. Bentley to make a good car, the fast car, the best in its class. And this is the range of Continental cars we have today, which were launched, the Continental GT, the same year as we won Le Mans again, 2003, joined by its siblings, the Flying Spur and the Continental GTC. During this time, we went, I think, from about 800 cars production to just over 10,000 in about 3 years, a massive expansion. And we're not just about multiples of cars now, we're also, as we were many years ago, about bespoke one-offs. And this is the Queen's state car, state limousine, presented to her by our chairman, Joseph Pefkin, who delivered it to her for her Golden Jubilee. And we're also about slightly higher volume cars, maybe 500 or so, still very, very unique. This is the Azure convertible, which is the convertible version of the Arnage 4-door car, which is a very exclusive car, sells for about £225,000 currently. And indeed, other variants of the Arnage, which is the Brooklands car, the coupe version, which we've just launched. This is a limited edition of 550 cars only, all of them sold already. So being very successful, clearly, in the marketplace. And there is a very clear, distinct market for these very exclusive products at the moment. So this all sort of focuses down into a widely recognised external view, if you like, of what we do. And you can see here a press comment recently about the interior of the Continental GT. So we are recognised as doing and being the best in its class in certain areas, in certain key attributes, in certain key areas of the car. And the way we do that is by no compromise in our engineering and design solutions. So we take our vehicles to extreme climates, test them to minus 40 degrees C, and make sure everything works correctly at those temperatures. And indeed, just to prove that, we've recently obtained the world ice speed record driving a Continental GT at 200 miles an hour on a frozen lake in Finland. And we also take them to the desert, plus 80 degrees C. We make sure everything works there too. We actually leave a car in the desert for a year and come back to it at various times to see how the interior is developing. So is all the gaps and all the flushnesses still correct and good? And I won't tell you where it is because you might go and steal it, but it's still there now. But it's also about everyday usage. It's not about the extremes necessarily all the time. It's about being able to drive the car down to Sainsbury's as well. So we do hundreds of thousands of kilometres testing, not only of our cars, but our competitors' cars, to make sure that we are the best and we're beating them in the attributes which we need to beat them on for our brand. So, just taking it down into the interior, which is my area, which I'm interested in. We do this by very carefully managing some of the key attributes around the interior, these multi-sensory attributes. So here you see the very traditional bullseye air vents and the organ stop controls, which we carefully make sure that we manage those and put them into every design and make sure that they're always good and working well. The gear knob. Now, knurling, if you know anything about knurling, from a traditional lathe sort of turning process, you can't really knurl on a compound curve. But we really wanted this design. We wanted a compound curve, so we had to find a new way of knurling, and each one of those is individually CNC machined on every gear knob. Leather work on the interior. Over 80% of the interior of the car is covered in leather. The rest is either wood or carpet or brightware. It takes one craftsman 1 week to hand stitch the complete interior of a Bentley Continental right now. And the leather we use is very carefully sourced without any sort of overprinting of the grains. It's very natural material, as is the woodwork as well we use. We use non-bleached or stained veneers, which is unique in the automotive industry. And you can see here the sort of handcrafted application of end grain inlay, contrasting with some nice bird's eye maple veneers. So, what about the future? So the future for us, I'll go to my notes, is about continuing the lineage, the evolutionary flow of these specific product attributes. And it's about looking after the brand as sort of generations of designers and engineers carry that from one generation to another. And it's about continuing WO's vision more than anything else, making sure that we are doing or making the best cars in their class, whilst also rising to the challenges of the new markets, new technologies, and also new inspirations. Thanks very much.